What's up, my dude? So thank you to Adam Lubbock for the $5 donation. He says, "Hey Spencer, I love your videos!" Exclamation point. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. I don't really know what to say when people say, they really love the videos and stuff. This is something I was talking to some guys on Discord about, some random fans on there. Like, they were talking, like, I'd been playing with a bunch of just random fans on PUBG and stuff like that. And what I'll do is I'll just like randomly invite them to the Discord. I don't know these people at all, right? And they've been fans of me for like however long. And they come into the Discord and they're like, "Oh, Spencer, man, I love the video." It's not all of them, right? But some of them are like, "Oh, dude, like I really enjoy the videos. Been watching you for a long time," and stuff like that. And I don't even know what to say because like I'm just a normal dude, Like I don't even. And we were talking about this, like it's so crazy, but I am seriously just a normal guy. I don't look at myself as being this big YouTuber. I don't even like. I don't know. It's the craziest thing ever. I never thought I'd even be in this position. I know some people can say, well, oh, dude, you only have 7,000 subs, or I guess it's 8,000 now, or whatever. But it's like, man, I never even thought I would have 2 subscribers. Like, fuck this, like, almost at 10,000 now. Like, this shit's crazy for me. I am just a normal guy. So when people say that stuff, I don't even know what to say to it. I'm just like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But man, it's just crazy. Like I never would have thought, I don't know, never would have thought it in a million years that I would ever be even in this position, much less like actually having people donate to me. And man, it's just the craziest thing ever. So I apologize to some of you guys out there that, get into Discord or donate to me, or you see me in a MX Simulator server or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, hey, Spencer, I really like the videos," and stuff like that. And all I can really say is like, "Oh, thanks, dude. Like, appreciate it." Like, I don't know what else to say. It's just, I don't know what else to say. It's crazy. Like, I'm just a normal guy, man, at the end of the day. And that's what I look at myself as. And I will never forget where I came from and how hard it was to get to this point. I was a nobody for so long that I still have that in me, that feeling of like, I'm not above anyone else. I'm just not. And I know how hard it was to get to this point. I know how much hard work I put in to get to this point. So I will never ever forget about where I came from in that sense. And so, yeah, I guess that's why even to this day, I still don't know what to say to people that donate and stuff like that to me and say they really like the videos and stuff like that. It's just crazy, man. But yeah, either way, Rut Tester. I have become the Rut Tester. It's crazy how this series is kind of taken off here. Never really expected it to do as good as it has been doing here recently, but I wanted to go in here and run the maximum amount of laps on a motocross track and really see how that develops in the game. I know I did 20 laps on a supercross track, but I want to run 30 laps on a motocross track, kind of see what happens. Now, what's interesting, I finally figured out why sometimes when you race, there's only 8 people instead of like 12 or can there be 16? I don't even know, but now I see why it is. Like if you have your laps above like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 or something like that, then it lowers the overall rider count basically. So like this is when I first got into this race right here, I was looking at the gate and there was like half of the amount of people on the gate than there should have been. And I think the only reason that is because I've got it set on 30 laps, right? So it just like automatically lowers the rider count, which is a really bizarre thing. Kind of almost like ruins the whole point of it when you think about it, because you're wanting to run more laps to get more ruts, right? But if you lower the overall rider count, then you're not going to have as many ruts anyways. So it's like, what's the point? It's almost like you would have just as many ruts if you ran 15 laps with 12 people than you would running 25 laps with 8 people. So it's like, I don't know, it kind of like counterbalances the whole point of it there a little bit, but yeah, we'll see what happens. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. I am going to do the whole like skip function here and kind of see how that goes. But this track, can't really say it's like a track that's may not really matter as much. I don't really know how that's going to turn out. Not a whole lot of super big jumps on this track or anything. It's not like, oh my gosh, these ruts are going to make just a gigantic difference. You might be able to square this inside up a little bit easier. This is more of one of the more easier style motocross tracks. I definitely would say that. Oh, you can already see that kind of, some of these little sections where it's like you kind of hit like one little roller or whatever. Well, they're starting to get to a point where it's beat down so much in that one section that you're basically not even hitting anything now. So that's interesting. Okay, totally spun, like completely blew that one little rut out right there. So this inside might start working a little bit better. Let me just count the track. Don't worry, boys. Start working this. Now, this track does seem to have like little bitty pre-made, almost like berm, like starter rut style things in the corners. I did notice that a little bit, so we'll see how much that really affects it here. But, okay, coming up on lap 5, so I will come back in 3 or 4 laps, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so here we are on lap 8, Ski, and I wanted to come in here before like lap 10 because I feel like the earlier laps is where you see way more of the actual deformation going on and track changing, because once you get to that certain point, it's as if it just doesn't do a whole lot more, it seems like. So it definitely is to that point where it's really starting to change this stuff. Now, I know the developers have talked about they're going to try to improve it possibly as far as the actual way the ruts work and all that. And yeah, so we'll be seeing how that happens in the future. But it does actually begin to make roughness. Now, I wouldn't call it like breaking bumps by any means, but it just kind of makes it to where you definitely do get like a rough, gritty, grooved feeling through some of the corners, specifically when you've got people taking different lines. Like if you got everybody taking the same line, it just builds that super smooth area. But if you got people taking multiple lines, that's what creates that kind of weird rough. You can see it a little bit coming up the face of that. Creates just that little weird rough area. Now, I hope I don't completely explode my computer doing this, but we're doing the maximum here. I mean, this is 30 laps on a motocross track. That's as much as you can do in the game, really, at this current point in time. Okay, that's an occasion right there where the ruts directly caused me to crash. Did you see that right there? Like I kind of did one of those take the inside and just kind of scrub the bike around the corner, and the bike just bumped one of the ruts, and it just popped me right off the track. So that's interesting how that did that, where it just caused me to crash, like directly caused me to crash. So that's kind of cool, but we'll see how much these jump faces wear down. Like I said, it's not really one of those tracks where you got to have pristine jump faces to hit everything. Pretty sure we're still going to be able to hit every single jump, even at the very end of this, but I put these dude skis on all time, obviously, but I think we're going to be coming around to lapping them here pretty soon. So, yeah, let's see. So, now this is a little, like, whoop, roller-ish kind of section. Not crazy big whoops by any means, but we'll see how that changes that section. If it, like, turns completely smooth once we get quite a few laps down into it here. We'll see how that turns out, but this inside is definitely, but that like pre-made inside starter berm has definitely turned into a super line, I would say. Now, that little triple section right there, I have to admit, is getting a little bit more tricky. You got to make sure your seat bouncing it perfect if you're taking that exact groove that everyone's taking and they have the face worn down on it a little bit. If you're not taking that, it's still going to be basically the same, but then it gets to that point where then you're starting to have to judge, okay, which jumps do you really need the extra face on and which ones do you don't? Because once it starts getting rutted and that face gets worn down on certain jumps, you're going to want to take that because you're going to get less airtime. You're actually going to end up going faster on a lot of these jumps, right? So that's an interesting little balance that you figure out. Like certain jumps, you want that pristine face, and certain jumps, it's actually going to be faster to have the face worn down. So, oh my word, what kind of kicker did I hit? Good Lord, did you guys see the bike right there? My gosh, man. Okay, now this corner, yeah, it's getting like 3 or 4 different lines going through it, so we're a third of the way through the race here. And it is definitely still changing as I speak. Okay, do a little whip off of that, try to get some speed going, but I will come back on probably lap 15, something like that, 15 or 20. Passing lappers like they were standing still, and all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, a Spencer Turley on a 125 passed me by. Okay, so we're coming up on lap 15 now, and it is definitely making it a challenge, without a doubt. Like, the track's getting more difficult. I mean, it's really starting to feel like, whoa, okay, this is getting real. Like, I'm actually having to think about the lines that I'm hitting. I'm actually having to flow through the ruts properly, or I'll just completely lose all of my momentum. So that's really cool how it's doing that. I know that some of the motocross tracks in this game can feel super, super easy. The jumps can feel super basic. And those are going to be the tracks where running 30 laps like this when you're racing your buddies or whatever, that's really what's going to make those races and tracks more enjoyable, because it's really changing it. I mean, right here, like this kind of section is completely different. The ruts kind of swing out to the side, and they go back to the inside, so you're having to take like a totally different kind of line style here. And that corner right there, if you don't swoop around it just perfect, you'll just kind of skim over top of 3 different ruts and lose momentum that way. You really do have to kind of find a way to flow through them in this game. It's not as easy as just kind of running up the inside, if you will. It is a little bit more tricky than that. Oh, baby. Yep. And then this section's made a super inside rut. I don't think a soul has went on the outside right there, so that's kind of funny. Okay, now, let's see. So that was the very direct middle halfway point. Looks like a lot of people are taking this outside. But yeah, it makes that grooved line just super smooth. I mean, almost like glass smooth. Find that to be quite interesting how it does that. This little section, you can kind of run up the inside and kind of barely even leave the jump face of that one jump there. But you can still hit that jump because it's pretty small. So it's kind of cool how that worked out. And then this, you're just kind of staying on the inside. Then you rail up the inside of that rut. Stay on the left side where it's worn down so you don't get nowhere near the same kind of air off of that. And then you're coming around like this. That is almost turned into like, this whole little section right here is just turned into basically just a flat section. There was some jumps and kind of roughness and stuff, but now it's just flat. Okay. Coming around for this. Yeah, that is probably one of the hardest sections because the way the track kind of angles to it before, it makes you want to like run up the inside, but you can't do it because if you do that, then you just kind of stick the bike in the sand and lose all the momentum. So you got to, some of these sections you really are starting to take different lines. Now, like I said in my other rut tester video, it's going to be a completely different story when you have real players, like 8 real riders on the track instead of the AI. I think it would make it completely different. I need to try that out. Eventually, I'm going to have to get 8 of you fans or friends or somebody to get on here and test that out with me. But running different lines, you know, it's going to really make it a whole different kind of scenario here, I feel like. Oh, yeah, you can just, if you don't seat bounce that one jump at all right there and you hit it wide open, you jump that jump just perfectly. You know, like you just barely get over that little bitty jump right there. Starting to get my whips to the left a little bit. Just kidding. As you can see, perfect. Perfectamundo. I'm pro. You can't hang. Definitely trying to get those left side whips going for sure. But lap 17, so that was 2 or 3 more laps. It is starting to get to that point where it, you know, you're just running laps. It's not like it's doing something crazy on the track now. Just kind of eroding the faces a little more, stuff like that. Might be widening that like main rut just a little bit. Everybody's kind of working around it a little bit more than they might have been before. So see, this is how you kind of work your way around that corner a little bit quicker. Got to hold your momentum better. Let's see right here. It can make it, you find yourself doing that right there where you just kind of accidentally shoot off and cut off of the track in certain areas. because you can't just like smoothly work your way around the corner quite as easy. What just happened? My bike literally stuck in the dirt. I'm not talking like the bike felt like it stuck, like it actually stuck right there. Okay, that was interesting. Never had that happen in the game before. All right. So you can kind of sweep more to the outside right there and still get the bigger face for that triple in. So, and even right here, I think it might be a little quicker to go off of those ruts because you're kind of cutting a little bit of the track right there. But I'll come back really close to the very end, probably like lap 18. I mean, not 18, good Lord. 28, 27, something like that. I forget I'm actually doing a full 30 and not 20 here. So yeah, I'll come back for that and we'll see what it looks like. Fucking idiot. Whew, that running 30 laps on a motocross track, man, that will wear your happy ass out. I don't care who you are. Oh my gosh, I never feel like I'm going to get done with this race. So, this one little section right here, now it's, you know how I was telling you before that basically if you ran over that rutted section and you didn't seat bounce at all, you just rode over it, you'd land the jump perfectly. Well, now you actually do have to seat bounce or you'll come up short on it. So it is still digging down in the main rut line here, without a doubt. But I did start to notice a couple sections where like you'll get going so fast that you can't even hardly get slowed down for a certain rut corner. I'll show you guys here in a second. Can't even hardly get slowed down for it. So in that one little corner occasion, I think that actually like going around the outside where there's no ruts might actually be a little bit quicker. It's right up here. So like I think right here, if you just kind of see, like if you jump off that and then you slam right there and you lose all your momentum, I kind of hit it wrong. But if you will like slowly not kind of leave the ground very much and work your way to the very outside and just stay on the ground, you'll actually go faster even though you're not in that main rut line. So it does seem to develop to a point where getting out of the rut line is more viable in certain occasions, but for the most part, you're just kind of staying in that main rut line because it gets so smooth. It just like creates a completely smooth 5 or 6 bike length, I wouldn't go that far, probably 3 or 4 bike length wide area. But there still is certain corners where they're a little bit harder to hit because everyone goes in a little bit more of different places on the track. But, yeah, so like, I mean, if I just try to go out here to the outside, I'm basically just wasting time. Like, and what makes that different in a certain extent too is when you have an easy track where you don't even have to take the outside to hit certain jumps, that's what makes it to where it also builds more of a one-line area. Like if I was on a track where you had to take the outside to hit some of the bigger lines, either it would totally rut up that face to where you couldn't hit that bigger line anyways, or everyone would take the inside and rut that up, and then the outside would still be viable because of that bigger jump line or bigger rhythm. But as far as on this track, doesn't really do that because it's just you don't really need to take the outside on any section on this track. But one thing you do notice is like the skill and the speed really comes from staying on the ground, like in the corner. Instead of kind of jumping off of the side of certain ruts and berms, you'll find yourself doing that a little bit there. If that finish line's getting a lot harder if you hit it right down the middle, but you'll notice that, like just trying to keep that bike all the way on the ground in the corners instead of kind of popping off some of these little rough sections and bumps and ruts in the corners. That's what keeps that kind of speed flowing all the way around the corner, is when you don't get off of the ground at all. So that is a little bit of a trick tip there for you guys. But yeah, man, good Lord, I'm worn out. 28 laps on a motocross track. That's almost like that is a full like 30-minute plus. That may even be like a 40-minute full race when you think about it. Because the lap time's like 1 minute, 23 seconds, somewhere around there. So that would end up being what, almost like a 45-minute moto here total. So, man, that's a lot of time to be on one track. Now, these little whoop rollers right here, they haven't really got completely flat. I mean, they've still kind of kept their base right there, but they've worn down a little bit, but they've still kept that whoop base to them. So I can't really say the whoops themselves are like totally flattened out right there or anything, but either way, man, I'm ready to get this video over with. Oh man, that running 30 laps, well, at least the game didn't crash. That's always a positive. But yeah, you just barely make that finish line jump now, so that's pretty cool. But I mean, I still feel like it is doing something on the very last lap here. I guess I'm one lap from last lap, but way later in the race, it still is rutting it up more and more and more. Not as noticeable or critical or anything on the track, but it still is doing something. So that's good to see that it doesn't just totally come to a halt. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of builds that super smooth area, and that's where everybody goes, man. So let's see if we can run back up the inside, kind of split those ruts right there. Okay. Let's see. Roll that that's kind of weird how that little S corner, how the AI were riding right there, they kind of rolled to the outside. They went like inside, then rolled to the outside, then rolled back to the inside. Very bizarre how they hit that line right there. I don't even know if they're hitting like the quote-unquote fastest line or what, but you would think the all-time dudes would be hitting that, so this would be a good way to figure out the fastest lines on the track. I'm just assuming they may actually not be hitting the fastest line on all-time. Not really sure, but whoa, dude, that is like perfectly smooth right there now. I feel like I'm almost on like a MX Simulator stock track or some shit. Like, it's perfectly smooth. Let me try to hit the outside, get a little more lip. Okay, so that makes that a little more viable, hitting outside of the main line, that finish line jump, making sure you clear all the way over that puppy. So last lap. Oh, oh my God, man. It's just like so mentally taxing running this many laps on one track, man. It is. It's like my brain is just turned into jello right now. I'm just like, don't even care which lines I'm hitting. I'm just going, dude, trying to finish this thing. So, yeah, man, either way, that was another Rut Tester video. Would be interesting to come in here and make one of these 30 lappers on a supercross track or with other real people, right? So that's kind of some future vid ideas there, but we'll be getting to that soon. But yeah, man, either way, oh, rubbing my nose a little bit. So I am 4 minutes and almost 5 minutes up on the back of the on the second place dude here, I guess, is what that's actually split from. But what's funny about it is when you only have 8 you would think you'd be like sitting there lapping people the whole time you're riding. But it's really not like that with 8 people. I mean, it almost feels like I'm not even riding with anybody else when there's only 8 people on the track. So, yeah, that made it kind of boring as far as a battling type of sense. Had a couple dudes take me out there, and a couple lappers kind of just drove me right off the track there a couple times. That was a little bit frustrating, but, you know. Dudes are like, damn it, dog, he's fucking smoking us, lapped us 5 times. We got to knock him off the track. That AI gets real smart with you sometimes, but either way, shout out to SquidSquadSTL.com. Got 4,000, almost 5,000 credits right there, so that's good. Got quite a bit more credits than you'd get in a normal race, but yeah, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.